Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond Ideas podcast. My name is Jorge Surya, and today we are gonna talk about Tantra. What a topic! I just wanted to start by saying, yeah, the word Tantra has really gotten a lot of buzz, I feel, in the last few years. I think people are more interested in how to relate in a conscious way with their partner, with their friends, with life in general, but especially with partners. I think that learning about love and learning about loving someone is something that we all face at some point in our lives. We all face relationships as well, and we all are interested in learning about it, know how to relate better. Tantra is very misleading in a way. Like, there's so many conceptions in the Western world about Tantra, so many judgments and so many categories of where Tantra belongs, that what I would invite for sure, the same way I invite you to doubt what I say, is to be careful when you hear someone talking about Tantra, especially if they are from the Western world. Because the Tantra and the Tantra tradition actually doesn't come from the West, it comes from the East. So I'm very curious, like the first time you heard about Tantra, what do you think about? I personally remember that the first time I heard about Tantra was related with the sexual stuff, with the sexy stuff in a way. Yeah, I think that, yeah, when I was, I don't know, maybe a teenager, and I heard about Tantra, how I interpreted Tantra was about two people having sex with each other without touching and reaching orgasm without touching. I think like that's how I interpreted Tantra. And I would say my culture where I'm from and most of my friends, if I talk to them about Tantra or if I mention the word Tantra, I think they would have quite a similar concept, like this Tantra way of relating, especially in bed. How they do the sexy stuff and all of that, and how it's so different from the regular way of doing. And yes, so I grew that interest into Tantra a few years ago. How many? Like many 7, 8 years ago or something like that. I think I was around 27, 28. Yeah, that's a long time ago. That's crazy. I was starting to travel in Europe, the world of eco-villages. I was visiting different eco-villages, and in one of them, it was it was sort of like a community that it was a bit very open. It was open in relating, open in connection, and all of that. And there I connected with a woman who I consider a goddess, and she was the first person who introduced me to Tantra. I was coming from a very regular place. I didn't know anything about Tantra. And yeah, and like I say, it was about the sexy stuff. Of course, it was about like when we connected in bed and when we related to each other. That's where she would give me my first lessons on Tantra, on how to do sex in a different way, on the different possibilities of connecting, on the masculine energy, feminine energy. I never heard about masculine energy or feminine energy before in my life. And that's something I think quite present in the Tantra culture and the Tantra vocabulary. So anyways, she put a seed on me, planted a seed, and I didn't know. I was still the same regular guy doing the same stuff, same orgasms and all that, which then later I learned something new. But anyways, I was with that, and yeah, some years after, like 3 years after, something like that. Yeah, I was very like, she would give me some podcasts and some books and this and that about Tantra. So I would read it, I would listen to those things, and Tantra started to grow in me, the curiosity. So then I read a book. That the name of that book, I read many, but this book specifically, it's called The Multi-Orgasmic Man. And I think that this is a very famous book and fascinating what he says. It's like multi-orgasmic man. I don't know if you are a man and you are like, yeah, men ejaculate and that's it, right? They have one orgasm per sexual interaction. And yeah, and the theory of this book, it's quite interesting on how to have multiple orgasms and the exercises and all that, which I'm not gonna go into it this video because I don't want to make already what is Tantra and go into the sexy stuff, which is the juiciest stuff that many people are curious about. Also myself, I admit I'm guilty. I also came into Tantra because of that, and I still feel it's a fascinating part of the world of Tantra. But Tantra is way more than that. Way more. Of course, sex is part of it, but yeah, it's not even the focus of Tantra in a way. Even though in the Western world, and I myself, that was my interest in a way. But yeah, I want to honor that part. So yeah, so when I read the book, I started doing the practices, and I started having different ways of orgasms in my body, different energies inside of me. And yeah, without going too deep, I started to grow that interest, and I went to my first Tantra festival. And then a year later, I moved into this community that, it's not like a Tantra community, but definitely Tantra. Everyone knows a bit about Tantra and all of that stuff. And I've been living here for a few years. It's not just that, but part of it, for sure, it's alive. So yeah, and then with that, I've been reading some books, and I also did a seminar with a Tantra master, I would say, or teacher. His name is Danny Lodier, and it changed my life. It was fascinating. But yeah, anyways, I'm not here to tell you my story so much. If you want to know about it, just of course comment, and maybe I do an episode of my story, my full tantric story in a way. All right, so what is Tantra? Yeah, what is Tantra? That's a great question. But maybe I tell you a bit of where Tantra comes from, how I understand Tantra comes from. And yeah, so Tantra, how I understand it, it's a form of Buddhism. So it's one root of Buddhism's. Let's say, and I'm sorry I didn't check facts, but this is what I understand, so don't believe me. Buddha, in Buddhism, we know Buddhism, we know Buddha. And Buddha, in a way, he reached enlightenment, right? Like he would say that, the purpose of life or the purpose of his life was to reach enlightenment. And then enlightenment, whatever that is, right? But anyways, he reached enlightenment. And he said something that the way to reach enlightenment, there are different ways of reaching enlightenment, but the way he did it was by getting over his desire or suppressing his desire. I don't remember so well, but something about really getting over the desires that he had in life, right? Desire for food, desire for pleasure, desire for sex, like all of those things, right? Like suppressing the desires in order to reach enlightenment. And that's how we should reach enlightenment. And so that there is one current of this religion, of this practice, more closer to Buddha. And then I learned that there is another way, which is the Tantra way. And in the Tantra way, it's actually not about suppressing desire, but actually about using desire and using pleasure to reach enlightenment. So yeah, and that's a very crazy one, right? Because I don't know which one is right or not, if there is anything right, but this one seems more juicy. It seems awesome, right? Like, can you reach enlightenment through pleasure? It sounds fantastic. Yeah, in my tantric journey, I also recognize that, yeah, I feel a lot more pleasure in life since I opened my mind to this. So maybe that's the purpose of this episode, to just give you a little bit of little pills of knowledge. So maybe you grow your curiosity and you ask me to do another video, or you go check the actual teachers of Tantra and the masters and the great books and all of that. Yeah, and I also see that, yeah, it is cool to say, yeah, enjoy life so much and have so much pleasure, and then you reach enlightenment and have that life, right? But I think that in Tantra is not so much about that in a way, right? It's not about binging on TV and eating a lot of food and having a lot of sex and then you reach enlightenment, right? It's more about how to find the pleasure in anything and how to enjoy that fully, how to be fully present. And then there is where you sort of get closer to enlightenment in a way. Or that's how I understand it in my life. And I think that one of the very important concepts in Tantra it's about the oneness. I think, I think many teachers speak about oneness. So what is this oneness? Which it can be also related to non-dualism. So in a way, dualism in a way, it's you are a person and then you have the environment around you. And in spirituality, not just in the tantric tradition, but in many traditions, they talk about non-dualism, which is that you are not separated from your experience. You are not separated from the things around you. And I think that in Tantra, this is quite, or the Tantra that I learned, it's quite important because it's important to honor that we are part of everything, that there's no separation between me and you. There's no separation between me and this plant, or me and this item, or me and the air, or me and the sky, or the plants, or the trees. And yeah, I don't know if I fully embody it. That's why I also say I'm not a Tantra teacher. But it is a very cool concept. And I do understand and recognize that there are different moments of my day or different moments of my life where I do feel that oneness. I do feel that oneness with the plant, with myself, with the other person. And that oneness comes from presence for me. And I believe that that oneness is actually always there. It's not like there you have moments of oneness. It's that you have awareness of the moments of oneness, but you are oneness in itself. You are connected to everything. So taking this into consideration, imagine that you can just experience oneness with everything. Already how much pleasurable that is, that you can just look at someone's eyes and see yourself in them because you are one with them. You're both alive, you're both breathing. And that connection becomes a lot more stronger rather than seeing yourself as a separate entity from the other person. If you can connect out of presence without words to another human being, if you can eye gaze to them, look at their eyes and see them in you and feel that oneness, it is a very trippy sensation. And that happens with anything. You can also feel the oneness with the earth, with nature. That's a very beautiful one. The oneness with the air, with the sky, or just look at a tree and just meditate looking at the tree for 5-10 minutes, and then recognize that the tree is also part of you and you are also part of the tree, and you can feel the life of the tree inside of you. And it's just a bunch of feelings and sensations, because if the mind tries to put words into it, then it would just doesn't work. And again, like I said, I'm not really a guru, and I'm sorry for repeating it so much, but it is important for me to say that. And my inner critic and my inner child also is telling me all the time. But sometimes I feel that in meditation. And maybe if I was a bit more enlightened or a bit more guru or something like that, maybe I would even experience more oneness in my life. But you can already open up this thing that I speak about in the beginning of, like, through pleasure reaching enlightenment, right? And if this enlightenment or part of enlightenment is this state of oneness with everything all the time, then you can already see how how this moves in a way. And then we will see if at the end of the episode you actually believe this or not, and or you're more curious and interested about it. So one thing that I need to say is that, as far as I understand, Tantra is not just one thing. There is many different traditions within Tantra. Like I said, it is hundreds of centuries, hundreds of thousands of years, religion, tradition, like whatever it is. So it is not like, Tantra is one thing and then what is Tantra and whatever. And what I believe it's important to mention here is that there is a current of Tantra, which is called Neo-Tantra, which is the modern Tantra in a way. But as I understand it, and as I understand it from this teacher that I had, it's also not really Tantra. It's so the Tantra that you may hear from an American or from an European or from someone who maybe went to India for a few months and now they're a Tantra master, or the people who go to the Tantra festivals and the facilitators, like, no, don't want to talk bad about them, but it is true that we are not here in the Western, we are not tantric yoginis, that we have been in the tradition, or our family has been in the tradition for centuries and centuries. That is the truth. We are learners of Tantra. And in the Neo Tantra scene, which is also very focused, or it has a big focus on the sex part, which is also what brought my attention. And I think that most people who don't know about Tantra, they wouldn't just go to India for 3 years and learn about Tantra. They would, be interested about the sexy stuff, because we all have sex and we all want to have better sex. And Tantra definitely brings better sex because it's a lot more present, and it's a different way of doing it. And I will talk about it in the end of the episode. That's the interesting part maybe for many, but I want to honor that. So this Neo Tantra movement, in a way, how I understand it, it's Western people who have gone to India, to Asia, to the East, and maybe have learned one or two things from one or two masters, or maybe have read a couple books or whatever, and then they are, transmitting in a way that knowledge that has been there for so many years. They're transmitting in their own way. And they're also using some of these tools for their own teachings. And for me, there's nothing wrong with that. I personally think that if someone has to learn something good in their life and they want to transmit that knowledge and they want to market it as Tantra, or they want to market it with whatever, as long as there is a lot of good intention and, and also awareness and recognition that, like I said, most people are not Tantra masters. Most Tantra masters probably don't even have books or are in temples and monasteries, and most people are not like super famous. So with that awareness, well, if you went to those temples and you learned something cool, or one of those teachers, and you want to transmit that, go ahead, do it. You're making a better world. So I believe that Neo Tantra is fantastic, but it is not the true Tantra in a way. It is not the deep traditional Tantra in a way. And I think that the traditional Tantra is very rich, and there's a lot to discover there. So of course, the Neo Tantra and the sexy stuff, it's present and it's all that. But in the traditional Tantra, as far as I understand, it's not so much of the sexy stuff, to be honest, even if it's there, of course. And then, and there's, like I said, there's so many different tantras. I personally learned a bit on a traditional tantra route that it's called the Kashmir Tantra. And that's where I did this seminar with this teacher, with Danilo Dier. And that's where I learned a bit about that Tantra. But again, I am no expert on that. I just want to honor that there's so many different kinds of Tantra, traditions and cultures and teachers and all of that. And I'm sure you can do some research and discover a lot about it. Or maybe one day I actually do the research and actually talk about it. But as of now, I don't find it interesting to be a teacher of Tantra without having even been into a monastery, in a way. My experience of some things that I learned from Tantra that I find quite interesting. One of them being about the masculine energy and the feminine energy, the yin and the yang. I think it's quite beautiful and important to understand those energies inside of us. And one of the things that I learned in that course with this teacher, it's also a very crazy idea, maybe for men. At least it was for me as a man, which is like, for me as a man, I have grown up with this conditioning of be a man and masculine energy and alpha and all of those things, right? And in a way, it was like, having feminine energy inside of me, I would see myself less of a man. And in the Tantra way, I learned that I, as a man, have both masculine and feminine energy, both polarities, and anyone has this. It doesn't matter man or woman. And some people have more masculine energy and some people have more feminine energy. And they're, going up and down all the time. But it was really cool to see this teacher talk about the feminine energy in men. That was fascinating, and I still haven't fully embraced that part, but it is true that I am, yeah, I after that experience, I have become more proud of my feminine energy, and I have also been more connected to my masculine energy in a way. But yeah, discovering that I have feminine energy and I can honor that energy has been such a gift. Tantra, it's mainly taught by women, as far as I understand. So if we come here in the Western, right, in so many years of like male oppression to women and all about the men and the men winning money and all of those things, and now we're at a time that it might be we're striving towards more equality and more honoring the feminine. It's not so long ago that women couldn't even vote. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe right now we don't even remember about those facts, but yeah, like men and machisms being a regular thing on society for so many hundreds of years has been a thing. So this thing about tantra already for all that time and having women teach tantra, it was already, yeah, it's already a different thing in a way. And the cool thing here, it's about the feminine energy, I believe. So, how I understand Tantra is that the feminine energy, it's sacred. Also the masculine, but the feminine is sacred. In the feminine energy, you can also find the divine within you. You know, you have the Tantra goddesses, the Tantra yoginis, you know, the woman. And how I see it, and of course, maybe it's easy to say this because I'm a man and because I like women, but yeah, like it's so nice to hear that woman in tantra and the feminine in tantra, it's to be adored in a way, it's to be served, and part of the masculine purpose and the masculine energy purpose is to serve the feminine. And to me, once I was learning about that, I'm like, I resonate so much, and it's fantastic to honor the feminine, to actually embrace the feminine, to feel the feminine in you even as a man, and to, yeah, and to really praise the feminine and adore the feminine. It's just so fantastic. And it was also even more fantastic that I never felt more of a man after learning about all this, because I didn't to suppress anything. I didn't need that. And then I would also honor my desire and my pleasure with the woman, with the feminine. So yeah, it has been a game changer in a way. And the issue that I see in regular society with the feminine energy is that, yeah, we have grown too quick. We have grown too quick, going from magism to feminism and missing a lot of things in between. And in a way, I see in our culture that, yeah, the feminine energy has been so criticized and so, yeah, not really honored and praised and all these beautiful things for so many years that we have even forgotten about it, about the power of the feminine, the power of the woman. You know, like how many women are have so much magic inside of them in this world, and they are like complete goddesses and witches and just like beautiful, beautiful people that have so much power in them, and for so many years have been so oppressed that they couldn't even shine their light. And now that we're opening up this door, we also have forgotten, yeah, we have forgotten of the power of the feminine. And especially, I see that the masculine energy is still very praised. This masculine energy of, you know, having job and making money and success and provide. And I also see so many women rising in power and also forgetting about their feminine energy, and that they also want to have the masculine energy, because the masculine energy was, it has been rewarded in our society for so many years that it seems to be the cool thing. And then, yeah, and then these women are disempowered in a way because they have lost touch with their feminine energy, and then they want to be mothers, and then they want a masculine man, but then they're being the masculine ones, and they're not allowing any masculine inside of their life because they're taking it all. They're taking it all the masculine, and they also want to be the feminine, and then there's so much issue. And then we live in a time where, there's so many men that are lost from themselves, from their masculine energy, and I have been one of them, and I still have parts of it that I'm also still very lost, but I have connected a lot with my masculine energy. But we see it, so many men just being disempowered as well, being, in social media, issues with relations, issues with porn, issues with sexuality, issues with connections, with socializing, playing a lot of games, being a lot in YouTube and streaming and all of these modern coping mechanisms. And I also hear so many women like really lacking to see, to connect to really masculine men, and also the very masculine men, the very alpha men and all of that, like really being disconnected with the feminine energy, and also not being good men in a way, hurting women and being very disrespectful and not really grounded men in a way. So there's of course there's so many little problems there, and this is the beautiful thing that I learned about Tantra, this praising the feminine and praising the goddess. And I remember when I met this woman, I come from Spain. And in Spain, I see that feminism or the feminist movement, it's quite up there. It's quite common, and we all want equality, and it's fantastic. But I also see a lot of women that have grown this masculine energy within them. And yeah, and even so what I want to talk about is, at least where I'm from, at some points of the culture, it has even been badly seen for a man to open the door for a woman. As crazy as that, it has been as oppressive. Because of course we come from all this history of oppression that now it's like, yeah, the man opening the door for a woman can be an act of oppression maybe, or the man carrying something heavy for the woman to help the woman. It's like, yeah, women are independent, they can carry their own stuff, they are strong, they can do anything, like all of that. And yeah, and I'm not sure if you resonate with that narrative, but I think it's quite real and quite present, and there must be something beautiful in it as well. But why do I mention this? It was especially from that first woman that I met that introduced me to Tantra. For her, being in her full feminine, she was like, please serve me. Please open the door for me. Please carry those bags. Please fix that shit for me. I don't want to do it. And she was a lot about like this feminine energy. And she is an entrepreneur. She also makes the money. She also does all those things. But she's also allows the masculine to serve her. It allows the empowered masculine to be of service of the feminine. And that's part of what I understand Tantra is. And it brings me a lot of joy to meet women like that. That's where I can shine. That's where I can actually be in my masculine, in my power. That's where I don't need to fucking worry. If I open the door for you, you're gonna feel, that I am oppressing you or that I'm doing something bad for you. I just want to serve the feminine. I just want to honor the feminine. And yeah, maybe what I want to say about this is that it can happen in any situation in life. And now I feel that life is telling me it's the time to go to the sexy stuff. So we have been speaking about the divine. And in every woman, there is divine energy. Every woman is a goddess. And many, of course, don't know about it, and many are very separated from their goddess energy. But a woman that wants to grow, a woman that wants to be in their feminine and also honor the masculine, any woman has this. And yeah, if you believe in this tantra or something like that, I'm just gonna say it for myself, like whatever you believe. So so I believe that every woman has that magic. Every woman has that power. Also every man, but I'm talking about woman now. And So when you meet a woman in bed, how are you going to relate with her if you are in front of a goddess? Well, the first thing, you're going to be admiring the goddess. We come from a culture of sex is, you get together, you kiss a bit, you have penetration. The man normally has orgasm, the woman normally doesn't have orgasm because they don't have enough time, and then you are done. And that is sex. And yeah, that is one part of sex, maybe. But in this Tantra way, there is all this dance, the dance of Shiva and Shakti. Shiva and Shakti are the god and goddess of Tantra. Shiva is the masculine energy, the one with the lingam. The lingam is the penis. The yoni is the vagina. And that is Shakti. And then Shiva and Shakti just doing this dance for hours and hours and hours, going into great union. And that's part of Tantra. Tantra can bring a lot of presence into connection. So in Tantra, you will hear a lot about eye gazing. And maybe I'm talking about these people who never heard of Tantra. Maybe that's who I want to focus now in this conversation. But yeah, it's like when you meet a goddess, if you have a partner or you're meeting a woman, it's just like this admiration, this devotion, this service to her. You honor her. You see her, and then she will invite you to her temple, maybe. And her temple is her yoni, it's her sexual organ. But before you go into the temple, you gotta get ready. You gotta go into meditation. You gotta go into presence. You gotta connect with the goddess. You gotta play the game. You gotta dance with her. And you gotta, just really honor and admire and feel all the pleasure that is there already. We have grown in normal culture to be so attached to the final state, to the orgasm. But in this Tantra journey, there is a lot more than that. That may come, and that may come many multiple times in the journey, and then maybe at the end the ejaculation comes. But that's just the end. That is not even the 1% more important thing there. It's all this journey. It's all this eye guessing, this massage, this connection, this meditation, this really enjoying fully the experience, hours and hours and hours, and even days before you go into the temple. You need to clean yourself. You need to clean your energy. You need to make sure that the feminine and the woman knows that you are ready for her, that you're ready to serve her, that you are surrendering to the divine inside of the woman. And then, imagine already living a connection with this mindset, with also this presence and the pause, that you can just be melted in hug for 1 hour, and that is even more pleasurable than the best orgasm you had with ejaculation. And I'm telling you, you can get there. That's the crazy stuff. With this Tantra way, there is yes, so many. So we talked about pleasure and reaching alignment through pleasure. Now, how can you feel the pleasure in every single moment of your connection with another human being? Also in life, how can you feel that pleasure? Through presence. You need to be present in every touch. When you touch her hand, can you feel every single cell within her hand? And can you feel the joy and the happiness and the pleasure of like, wow, you are honored to touch her hand. You are honored to worship her body. You're honored to feel her presence. And when the masculine allows the woman to feel that devotion, that service, that commitment to the feminine, then the feminine opens up. The feminine suddenly trusts the masculine because the masculine is holding space for her. the masculine is not just after her temple, it's not just after her orgasm, after his orgasm, after his pleasure. No, the masculine is, I'm here for you. How can I serve you? The man suddenly puts away the concept of orgasm because the man is feeling orgasm the whole way. The man is feeling pleasure every single second because when you are in front of a goddess, there's nothing else but to enjoy the experience. When a goddess comes into your life, comes into your presence, you may just enjoy that. There's nothing else to do. And if you have the fortune that you are so in meditation and in presence, that you have really proved to the feminine that she can trust you, that she can surrender to you, and she decides to honor her temple, to open up the doors of her temple to you, then you are very fortunate. And then you don't do shit at her temple. You just don't go fast and break the temple and be dirty and whatever it is. That's fantastic. Go do all those practices and all that shit in the Tantra way, the divine. You go into the temple and you stay there. You don't move. You just stay there in the temple. You allow the energy of the temple to take you into the journey. That is the beautiful thing, you just don't go in the temple and start moving and making noises and all of that. It's like, no, 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 no. First, you play on the outside of the temple. Then you go inside of the temple and honor with presence. And if no movement must be made with 1, 2, 3 hours, if no movement will be made at all, that is the best thing that could ever happen. There's no reaching for orgasm and pleasure and all of that. The pleasure already becomes by having a goddess opening the doors of her temple to you as a man. And then there, just being with the flow. And then maybe the goddess trusts you even more. And maybe she's ready to dance with you. Maybe she's ready to do her hip movements, to actually allow for friction to happen, to allow for the beauty and the magic of the pleasure to arouse, and to do it slow and to do it for hours and hours and hours. And yeah, however it comes. But yeah, just imagine seeing the act in itself, how I am telling you this story. How beautiful that is and how honoring that is. Okay, fantastic. I just went a little bit into a little bit of a journey because I love this stuff. I really love, and what I say, I feel it true. I feel it true when I relate with a woman. I feel it this way, and it has come because of Tantra. It has come because of what I learned from Tantra, and I could even feel tears. I can even feel tears in my eyes when I see the beauty of the union between the masculine and the feminine, and that beauty, how I never feel so much more of a man when I'm in that space, and how fantastic it is to connect in that way. And when I said in the beginning of this episode that I had a friend telling me, speak about Tantra, this last part is what she wanted me to speak about. Because this I told her, this I tell to every woman. And this is also the most beautiful part. This is not only for the guys of like learning how to relate and have sex in a different way. This is also for the woman. The woman also need to honor her temple. The woman also need to see themselves as a goddess, not let anyone in their temple. Oh my God, when I hear women having bad experiences with men, I'm like, why did you give your temple away? Your sacredness. No, please honor that. Get to know yourself. Get to know your temple. Don't allow just any man. You have the power of, you need to actually train the men, because the men are just focus on their shit. They're focused on their pleasure. They're focused on what they want. And it is true. It is fantastic. It is the masculine energy. The feminine energy needs to take the man away. It's like, hey, look at me. I'm going to teach you a different way. I need you to be slow. I need you to caress me. I need you to touch me in this way. And allow that, like also allow the dance. It's not just about the man learning this. It's not just about the woman. It's about both. It's about the non-duality. It's about the oneness. So yeah, also for the woman, please learn about Tantra too. It's not just the men that need to learn how to do sex in a different way. The woman also needs that. But yeah, probably more the man, because if you are a man and you only have known one kind of orgasm, which is the ejaculation orgasm, you are missing out, my friend. There's a lot more. Read that book, The Multi-Orgasmic Man. Learn about energies. Learn about how to move the energies in your body. And I'm not gonna go, maybe if you want me, I can do a full episode on this and how to do it and how I do it and how I learn it. But I'm telling you, there is a different way. And if you don't believe in all this tantra thing or whatever, just Google edging for a man. And that's how you get it. That's how you start feeling the energy and moving the energy and all of that. So why do I say this? Because it's really important for a man to learn how to move his sexual energy and his orgasmic energy so he can actually be with the woman for an hour, for 2 hours, for however many hours he can be with her. And of course, yeah, this sounds fantastic. Oh, but do it for 5 hours. Yeah, people do it for 5 hours. I personally haven't done it, but it's true that I've done it for quite a long time at some points of my life, because I have been in this state of presence and oneness and very slow and all of that. And also because I have learned how to move my energy in one way or another, and because I've been with another tantric person that she also knows how to move her energy and all of that. And it has been some of the most beautiful encounters I had in my life. But of course, yeah, I'm not here to talk to you about my experience. I'm sure it can be very juicy and interesting, but yeah, I don't want to go so crazy on this episode anymore. So yeah, I am hoping that you got something out of this, some inspiration or something, and you enjoyed something of here. And if not, it's also okay. And like I said in the beginning, if you're interested about Tantra and you want me maybe to do more videos about this, I maybe be open for that. But otherwise, just learn from the great teachers. Just Google about it, search about it. There's so many people who know a lot about these things. And yeah, and I'm hoping that you actually get into this world and you actually start to live life in a different way, and you actually get to do the sexy stuff also in a different way. So what I want to say thank you to you for listening to this. I really appreciate you. And if you got some value out of this episode, out of this podcast, and you want to support me, I encourage you to do it. You can do it for free. It's quite easy. You can just subscribe to this channel. You can give a like. You can comment. You can tell me your experience or whatever your thoughts are. And you can follow me on social media. Anything is greatly appreciated. So thank you for that. Thank you for your attention. And I also want to thank myself, like usual, at the end of the episode. I thank life for putting me here, for talking about this very beautiful topic, even though I didn't do research or I didn't prepare, but I do feel the passion I have for Tantra and relating in a tantric way, especially with personal connections, and how this has really changed my life and how I connect with others. And yeah, and I'm thankful for life for allowing me to speak about this for one episode, even if I don't know if I will speak much more about Tantra in this podcast. Only life will know and only life will see. But yeah, I'm quite grateful for that. And I'm also grateful that I was able to sit down and do this, even if it's not the most comfortable thing, especially when I have an episode where where the knowledge is so sparse away and I'm not know so much. But that's enough for my inner child to speak. I speak a lot about the inner child, and I also have one, and he likes to come out at the end of the episodes judging what I do. But yeah, it's part of me, and it's okay as well. So yeah, thank you for everything. Thank you also for listening to this last part, more vulnerable part of me, and just for existing, just for who you are. I hope that you can connect to that beauty inside of you, and you can feel it. It doesn't matter how you look. We all have it, and that you can connect with the pleasure and the joy of being alive. So I wish you well, and thank you again, and I hope to see you again another time. Thank you.